Today's snare battle is a little bit more realistic battle, if you will, than a lot of the videos that I post, in that there's a really serious consideration on which of these two drums I am going to play on an upcoming country album that we're trying to get all the agreements together to go into the studio and make. And I played with this up-and-coming artist in a few rehearsals and went through the songs, and it's new age country or modern country, some people call it. So I need a snare drum capable of a mixture of things. And of course, like everything these days in the recording industry, this is a very budget conscious operation. A lot of times you go into the studio and it really doesn't matter all that much which snare you play. The engineer or the tech is going to use a sample that they have on file someplace or have purchased and replace your snare. In this particular case, this is going to be a new artist. It's a low budget situation, and we're going to try to do as many of the takes just straight through live as we can and not have a bunch of post-production costs. So my choice of the snare drum, I've narrowed it down through the rehearsals and going through some of the music and what the artist likes, which is very important, and narrowed it down to these two. Here we have a Ludwig Black Beauty. This is a brass shell model, 10 lugs, 6.5 by 14, and this one is hammered. And I love the hammered Black Beauty in the brass. It is a little softer drum. There is more surface area that almost kind of baffles the drum a little bit. And so you don't get as much ring with this drum. It's still pretty sharp. It still cuts pretty well, but it's just a wee bit softer than a normal Black Beauty of this size at the same tuning. Over here we have a drum that's not so common, and if you ever get a chance to pick one of these drums, these snare drums up, or the drum kits that were made by the same company, this is a Tempus, or not Tempus, Tempus, T-E-M-P-U-S. It was made in Canada by a gentleman by the name of Paul Mason, who I have read interviews with and listened to podcasts about. And Mr. Mason made these between 1985 and 2012, I have heard. If you've ever listened to Tears for Fears or the Steve Miller Band the later work, you've probably heard a Tempus snare drum. In the mid-90s, when I was doing some studio work, these were all the rage. These were like the 1920s two-piece shell Black Beauties became a little bit later on. And especially Mr. Mason specialized in making snare drums and kits. He made full kits as well out of unusual materials, especially for that time. This snare happens to be a carbon fiber snare, and it was probably one of the first carbon fiber snare drums you could buy. I believe from the serial number, and this is a guess on my part, but I believe the serial number, I believe this one was made in the very early 1990s. He also made snare drums out of fiberglass and drum kits as well, hemp. And there was another material, I can't remember what it is right now, but these are really quality drums. They have excellent hardware on them. Of course, obviously this is 20 lugs. It is a 7 by 14, kind of an unusual size, especially for that period. It has what would be an early Dunnett throw on it. Looks like to me it's a kind that swivels and you can turn the handle any way you want. And they are just fantastic snare drums. Mr. Mason has said in his interviews that his goal was to build a quality drum that would last, and he wanted to create a different sound. He didn't want to be in the general genre of all the big brand name drum companies, and that's why he experimented with so many materials. I have both of these drums tuned to where I like them, tension-wise, but they are the same top and bottom. I have an individual gel on each drum, and I would probably play them that way. They both have a little bit of a ring to them. So I'm going to play a little country and western beats here and work the drums a little bit, and I would appreciate in the comments if you let me know which one you would record modern country with. And I think I've already made up my mind, but let's play them and I'll come back and tell you what I'm thinking after I'm done with the demonstration. For two drums that are completely different materials in the shell, they sound remarkably close, at least to my ear. The Black Beauty is a Black Beauty. It's sharp, it cuts, it's crisp. And for modern country, I think it's just a little bit too sharp for my ear. And the Tempus is just a wee bit rounder. It still has good volume. It still will get through the mix, but it's just a wee bit softer. Just the note drops off just a little bit quicker. The tone, I kind of like the Tempus for this music as well. If I was going in to do pop or rock and roll or something like that, then the Black Beauty would be my choice. But for modern country, I think I'm going to go with the softer drum. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the demonstration, give you a little bit of an idea what these two snares sound like. And again, if you ever get the opportunity to pick up a Tempus snare drum, you probably ought to do it. There's not that many of them for sale. I rarely see them on eBay or on Reverb, and almost never on Facebook Marketplace, and they are just a quality piece, and they will have a different sound, I think, than most of the snares in your arsenal. Of course, the Black Beauty is a Black Beauty. Whether or not you like the hammered model or not, of course, is obviously up to you and personal taste. But, you know, I'm not going to say anything about the Black Beauty you haven't already heard and seen in other videos and probably experienced yourself. So anyway, love both of these drums. They're great snares. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.